This is a little story about the power of not chasing. So, back in 2011, Art of Living was celebrating its 30-year anniversary in Berlin, in the Olympic Stadium. And I really didn't feel any great pull to go there until a friend of mine shared a video message from Rishi Nityapraja, and he was talking about the significance of this event. And the moment I saw it, I suddenly knew it was critically important that I went there. And I booked the ticket almost immediately, and before long I was in Berlin. And I remember the very next day, to my surprise, seeing two of my students there who I'd asked if they were going, and they said, well, we'd love to go, but we don't have finances. And there they were. And I said, I thought you didn't have the finances. And they said, well, funny thing happened. We went into Sky City Casino just to have a look. We were keen to look around. We'd never been. And we went in there, and these people were doing this lucky draw. And we entered into it, and we won $10,000. Just like that. And we'd just been saying we really would love to go to Berlin, but we have this financial obstacle, and it prayed for some solution to it. And there it had come. Enough for both of their tickets and accommodation and some spending money and a little bit left over for some pampering. So they were there and they were feeling like it was a miracle. And pretty soon so was I. This event was phenomenal for a number of reasons. It rained and was really cold, about 10 degrees or less. And this was the middle of summer in Berlin, which is typically pretty hot. And it was the coldest summer on record. The rain was coming into the Olympic Stadium. It was swooshing into the gap. It was kind of a horseshoe shape, with this gap where all the athletes proceed in. And through there, the wind was funneling and swirling around and bringing rain with it, and we're all getting wet and windy and cold and soaked, but we weren't. Except we weren't. We should have been, but we weren't. We should have been miserable, but we weren't. And the performance continued throughout the rain. I remember drummers drumming, and as they were drumming, water was splurging off the drums. There was a Russian ballet who were doing ballet in the rain. Such was the nature of that event. All major outdoor events were cancelled that weekend except the World Culture Festival. And on the third day, Gurudev led a meditation. And it was like no meditation I'd ever experienced. And as I closed my eyes, suddenly I went deep and I felt this shaft of light just going up, like a cylindrical shaft of light going from the middle of the stadium up, about a kilometre up in the air. And then I felt the energy of this intensify, and then poof, go out. Like those pictures of atom bombs going out and just poof, radiating outwards at high speed, except this was an atomic blast of love and a purifying energy. And then I opened my eyes and thought, well, that was a pretty intense experience. Well, my mind went some interesting places, and immediately I started to dismiss that. Except, the person sitting next to me was a Hawaiian healer, and he said, bro, did you feel that? And I was like, yeah, what did you feel? Oh, this intense shaft of light, just went right up in the sky. And he held that energy, and he held it, and then it just, and I said, pulsed outwards like an atomic blast. And he said, yeah, exactly, good way of putting it. Oh, you felt it too? We'd all had exactly the same experience of this. And what we realized was that the rain had been holding the energy of this whole land where, which had a pretty dark history, not just in the days of the 1930s and the Nazi rallies, but even before then, we found out. And there was this incredible purification of the land which had occurred, and it needed somehow us to come together, or that was the right circumstances, and on the final day it all happened. And then the weather transformed completely, and it was sunbathed and beautiful, and we went into Berlin and we had a great time. And we even got to there was a part 2 course coming on, and we were specially invited to the first day of it, which never normally happened, but we were allowed to participate in just the first day of the course, which we did. And Gurudev was at the front, and people were following him and chasing him, and there was so much contentment inside me that I just dropped all of that and just sat down on my yoga mat, just feeling completely full with this feeling inside me. I feel as though you are already in my heart. What need is there to follow you? And then he changed his course from he was going along the outside of the room and suddenly forked and came straight towards me, and then walked directly over my yoga mat and then past and out. And okay, this not following the Guru seems to work pretty well. And feeling in a state of complete bliss and contentment, I walked upstairs. And then again, he walks directly past, looks at me, smiles, reaches out with a rose and taps it on my head. And then continues, and I walk downstairs. And a bunch of other Kiwis and the Hawaiian healer will say, hey, we were waiting for you. And then I just going to sit down for a little bit. And I sat down, and I went straight into meditation. And about half an hour I opened my eyes again. And everyone else, who I thought would have just left by then, they were all meditation too. And they're like, whoa, you sent us into a pretty deep meditation then? And some transmission had occurred from the Master to me through into them, simply through that interaction. And we were all suddenly in this state of complete bliss, and out we went into the Berlin streets to continue our tourist activities. So that whole time, it was just, there were miracles after miracles. There were just these little events which seem like nothing, but were deeply significant and deeply joyous. These tiny little events, one after the other. I remember after the event, going to what was the after party in this huge warehouse, and people were singing Hari Narayana Hari Narayana over and over and over again, just going on and on and on for like 20 minutes. And everyone was just in this ocean of bliss. And again, I was just reminded of how little we need to be happy. Singing some songs, getting banged on the head with a rose, sitting in a stadium, soaking wet with rain, doesn't matter. But when you are surrounded with grace and with love, you can be happy anywhere. It doesn't matter whether it's rain or shine. Whether you're sitting down inside a hotel lobby or outside enjoying some tourist activities. So, it all happened through one friend sending one message that just spoke to me at the right time. This trip really was about me learning to move beyond all this goal setting and intention setting, and just how everything comes to you when you feel full inside.